The remaining 7 Dominion ships regrouped quickly. They formed a tight circle, backs to each other, weapons pointed outward. This was a standard defensive formation, one that had worked against Earth ships many times before. It meant nothing to the Phantom. The massive ship simply vanished. "Where did it go?" gasped Ray, staring at the empty space where the Phantom had been seconds ago. Morgan leaned forward in her chair. "It can't have jumped." There was no jump signature. The tactical display showed only the Dominion ships now, their energy signatures pulsing with what Morgan imagined must be confusion and fear. "Captain," called Taylor from the sensor station, "I'm picking up strange energy readings everywhere, like ripples in space." Suddenly, the Phantom reappeared, directly in the center of the Dominion's defensive circle, inside their formation. "That's impossible," breathed Morgan. No ship could move like that without using jump technology, which needed time to charge and couldn't be used for short-distance travel. The Phantom spun slowly in place, like a deadly dancer. Blue-white beams fired from all sides at once, striking each Dominion ship simultaneously. Their shields flared bright orange, then failed completely. "All Dominion vessels have lost shields," reported Taylor, his voice filled with wonder. "Whatever weapon the Phantom is using, it bypasses standard shield technology somehow." The Dominion ships broke formation, scattering in all directions. They fired desperately at the Phantom, but their weapons seemed to bend around the huge ship, not even touching its hull. 3 more Dominion vessels exploded in quick succession. Now only 4 remained of the original 12. Morgan's communication console lit up again. "Captain Morgan," came Captain Thomas's voice. "Your ship has taken significant damage. We're sending a shuttle to evacuate your wounded." "Understood, Captain Thomas," she replied. "But my crew and I can still fight." "I have no doubt of that," Thomas chuckled. "But there won't be much left to fight soon. Might as well save your strength for the after-party." Even as they spoke, a small craft detached from the Phantom and headed toward the Valor. It moved with the same impossible speed as its mothership, covering the distance in seconds rather than minutes. "Captain," said Ray, checking sensors, "that shuttle, it doesn't register on standard scans, like it's partly there and partly not." Morgan nodded. "Let them dock. We have wounded who need care." As the shuttle connected with the Valor's emergency docking port, Morgan turned to Ray. "You have the bridge, Lieutenant. I'm going to meet our guests." The docking area was crowded with injured crew members. Medical staff worked frantically to stabilize the worst cases. When the airlock door opened, Morgan expected to see medical personnel from the Phantom. Instead, a tall woman in a plain black uniform stepped through. She wore no rank insignia, no patches, nothing to identify her. Behind her came 6 others dressed the same way, carrying advanced medical equipment. "Captain Morgan," the woman said with a nod. "I'm Chief Medical Officer Wilson from the Phantom. We'll take your critical cases first." Morgan observed as Wilson's team moved among the injured with quiet efficiency. Their medical devices were unlike anything she had seen before. Small, sleek tools that seemed to heal injuries in seconds rather than hours. "Your technology," Morgan said quietly to Wilson. "It's not standard Earth medical equipment." Wilson's expression remained neutral. "No, it's not. Please come with me back to the shuttle. Captain Thomas has requested your presence on the Phantom." Morgan hesitated. "My ship." "We'll be fine," Wilson assured her. "We have engineers coming aboard to help with repairs. Lieutenant Ray can manage for a few hours." Morgan followed Wilson to the shuttle. Inside, it was larger than it had appeared from the outside, with comfortable seating for at least 20 people. The walls seemed to shimmer slightly, as if not entirely solid. As they took off, Morgan looked out a viewport. Outside, the battle continued. The Phantom was systematically destroying the remaining Dominion ships. Only 2 were left now, and they were attempting to flee. Captain Thomas led Morgan to a small room off the bridge. It was simple but comfortable, with a table and chairs that seemed to grow from the floor itself. The walls had the same shifting quality Morgan had noticed throughout the ship. "Please, sit," said Thomas, gesturing to a chair. As Morgan sat, a cup of steaming coffee appeared on the table before her. "How did you?" she began. Thomas smiled. "Molecular reconstruction, one of many technologies that make the Phantom special." Morgan took a sip of the coffee. It was perfect. Exactly how she liked it. "Captain," she said, setting down the cup, "what is this ship? Where did it come from? Why all the secrecy?" Thomas leaned back in his chair. "Which question would you like me to answer first?" "Let's start with the most basic one. Is this really an Earth ship?" "Yes and no," Thomas replied. "It was built by humans, using human designs as a starting point. But the technology," he gestured around them, "that came from somewhere else." "Aliens?" Morgan's eyes widened. "But we've only encountered the Dominion." Thomas shook his head. "That's what most people believe. What most are allowed to believe. But 30 years ago, before the Dominion arrived, Earth made first contact with another species. We called them the Visitors. What happened to them? Why didn't we hear about this? The meeting was kept secret by agreement of all Earth governments. The Visitors didn't want open contact. They were cautious. They'd seen what happened to other civilizations that revealed themselves too openly to younger species." Morgan frowned. "So these Visitors just gave us their technology?" "Not exactly," Thomas said. "They crashed on Earth, a single scout ship with a crew of 3. They were dying. We tried to help them, but their biology was too different. Before the last one died, they gave us access to their ship's database as a thank you for our efforts." Thomas stood and walked to the wall. It shimmered at his touch, becoming a window that looked out into space. The stars seemed closer, brighter somehow. The Visitors were explorers, not warriors, but their technology was centuries beyond ours. The database contained scientific knowledge that would have taken us thousands of years to discover on our own. "And we used it to build a warship," Morgan said, a note of disappointment in her voice. Thomas turned to her. "We used it to protect ourselves. 5 years after the Visitors, the Dominion arrived. They weren't interested in peaceful contact. They wanted resources, territory, slaves. So the world governments built the Phantom in secret." "Yes," Thomas nodded, "using a small portion of what we learned. Even now, we've only scratched the surface of the Visitors' knowledge. This ship has been operational for 7 years, appearing only when absolutely necessary. To maintain the myth," Morgan said, understanding now. "To make the Dominion fear something they couldn't explain." "Exactly. Fear is a powerful weapon. The Phantom appears, destroys enemy ships with ease, then vanishes. The stories spread. The fear grows." Morgan thought about this. "But why keep it secret from your own people? From people like me?" Thomas sighed deeply. "Politics. Fear. Some leaders worried that if knowledge of the Visitors and their technology became public, it would cause panic or religious upheaval. Others wanted to keep the technology for themselves, for their nations alone. That's why there are no markings on your uniforms," Morgan realized. "No country flags. No ranks. We're the first truly international crew. Scientists, engineers, and soldiers from every nation on Earth. We abandoned our old identities to serve on this ship." Morgan shook her head in disbelief. "This is a lot to take in." A soft chime sounded, and a section of the wall shimmered. Admiral James's face appeared, as if on a screen. "Captain Morgan," he said with a smile. "I see Thomas has been filling you in." "Admiral," Morgan nodded. "You knew about this all along." "I'm one of 12 people with full knowledge of the Phantom Project, each representing different regions of Earth." Admiral James stood at the front of the dimly lit room. The faces of 20 ship captains looked back at him, tired and worn from years of losing battles. The war against the Dominion had gone on for 5 years now. Humans were losing. "Thank you all for coming," said Admiral James. His voice was deep and rough from too many sleepless nights. I know many of you traveled far to be here. He touched a button on his wrist device. A large screen lit up behind him, showing star maps and battle reports. The Dominion pushed us back in 3 more systems this month, he said. We lost 8 ships and over 2,000 good men and women. A heavy silence filled the room. These were not new numbers. They all knew what losing felt like by now. But today we talk about something different, said the Admiral. Something that might give us hope. Lieutenant Alex, please come forward. A young officer stepped up to the front. Lieutenant Alex was shorter than most, with bright eyes that looked too young for war. But those eyes had seen plenty. Alex carried a data tablet and wore the blue markings of the Intelligence Division. Sir, Alex nodded to the Admiral, then turned to face the captains. I'm here to brief you on what some call the Phantom. Captain Reed, a battle-hardened veteran, snorted loudly. Not this ghost story again. Several others murmured in agreement. Alex waited for them to quiet down. With respect, Captain Reed, I understand your doubt. But I've been gathering reports for 3 years now. Something is out there. Something on our side. Alex touched the screen controls. Images appeared showing the aftermath of battles. Destroyed Dominion ships floating in space. In at least 7 battles where our forces were outnumbered and defeat seemed certain, something happened. A ship appeared, a ship unlike any in our fleet. Propaganda, said another captain. Stories to keep up morale. I thought so too, Alex replied. Until I compiled the data myself. New images appeared, blurry photos taken from ship cameras. A dark shape, much larger than standard Earth vessels. Strange lights along its hull. This is from the Battle of Proxima. Our forces were down to 2 ships against 9 Dominion cruisers. Then this appeared. 3 Dominion ships were destroyed in minutes. The rest retreated. The unknown ship vanished before clear images could be taken. Admiral James stepped forward again. I know how this sounds, but there's more. He nodded to Alex, who brought up a new screen showing communication logs. These are Dominion transmissions we intercepted and translated. Alex explained. Their commanders refer to a human ghost vessel that appears and disappears. They have standing orders to report any sightings immediately. Captain Morgan, a woman with short gray hair and a face scarred from a bridge explosion, leaned forward. Why would our own command keep such a weapon secret from its captains? Admiral James sighed. That's what we're trying to find out. If this ship exists, it's not under standard fleet command. But something is out there, helping us when all seems lost. If it exists, why doesn't it help more often? Asked Reed. We're losing this war, 1 system at a time. That's the question, isn't it? Said James. My theory. Limited resources, or limited operational capacity. Whatever it is, it can only be in so many places. Lieutenant Alex brought up one more image, this one clearer than the others. A massive ship, at least twice the size of their largest dreadnought. Its hull was dark with strange patterns that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. This was taken by a civilian transport 4 months ago near Saturn's rings. The ship disappeared moments later. No warp signature, no jump point. The room went quiet as the captains studied the image. Captain Morgan stood on the bridge of her ship, the EDF Valor. Through the main viewport, she could see New Haven Colony, a beautiful blue-green planet with 3 small moons. Millions of people lived there. Good people. Farmers, engineers, families trying to build a life far from Earth. Status report, she said, her voice steady despite the knot in her stomach. Lieutenant Ray looked up from his screen. Colony defense systems at full power. The other 2 ships are in position. The Swift is covering the northern approach, and the Guardian is stationed by the jump point. Morgan nodded. 3 ships. That was all Earth could spare to defend an entire colony world. Her ship, the Valor, was the newest of the 3, but even it was 10 years old. The other 2 were practically antiques. "Any word from command?" she asked. "Nothing new, Captain. Just the alert that Dominion forces are incoming. Estimated arrival in 30 minutes." Morgan walked to the tactical display. The colony glowed blue at the center. Her 3 ships were green dots forming a triangle around it. Soon, there would be red dots. Many red dots. "Open a channel to the colony," she ordered. The face of Governor Davis appeared on the screen. He was a thin man with kind eyes, now filled with worry. "Captain Morgan," he said, "is it true? Are they coming?" "Yes, Governor. You need to activate all shelters. Get your people underground. We've already started." "But Captain, 3 ships. That's all they sent." Morgan kept her face neutral. "We'll hold them off, Governor. You have my word." When the screen went dark, Lieutenant Ray spoke quietly. "Will we, Captain?" "Hold them off." "We'll do our duty, Lieutenant," she answered. She touched the small device on her wrist, the one containing the special signal Admiral James had given her. "Just in case," he had said. But she wasn't ready to use it yet. Ghost ships and myths wouldn't save them. Only courage and skill would. "All hands to battle stations," she ordered. "This won't be easy." The alarm sounded 22 minutes later. Jump signatures detected. Called out Ensign Taylor from the sensor station. Multiple hostiles incoming. The space near the 3rd moon twisted and warped. A tear in reality formed, glowing angry red around the edges, and through it came the enemy. "Count?" asked Morgan, her hands gripping the command chair tightly. 4, 7, 9, 12 ships, Captain," reported Taylor, his voice rising with each number. 12 Dominion warships. 4 heavy cruisers, 8 destroyers. Morgan felt her heart sink. 12 against 3. And their ships were bigger, newer, stronger. "Open channel to all Earth ships," she ordered. When the light showed green, she spoke clearly. "This is Captain Morgan. We are outnumbered but not outmatched. Remember your training. Remember what we're fighting for. All ships, battle formation Delta. Protect the colony at all costs." The 3 Earth ships moved into position, engines burning bright against the darkness of space. The Dominion fleet approached slowly, confidently. They knew they had the advantage. Their ships were dark and angular, covered in sharp edges that seemed designed to cut through space itself. Red lights pulsed along their hulls like evil heartbeats. "They're hailing us," said Lieutenant Ray. "Put them through," Morgan replied. But calling it just a ship felt wrong. It was massive, easily twice the size of the largest vessel Morgan had ever seen. Its hull was dark, almost black, with strange patterns that seemed to swallow light. It moved with impossible grace for something so large, sliding fully into normal space in seconds. "Is it one of ours?" asked Ray, his voice filled with awe. Morgan stared at the tactical display. The ship carried no identification beacon. No standard Earth markings were visible. Yet something about its design, beneath the strange technology, felt human. "Dominion fleet is reacting," reported Taylor. "They're forming a defensive line. All 12 ships." On the screen, the Dominion vessels moved with sudden urgency, arranging themselves to face the newcomer. Their previous prey, the Valor, seemingly forgotten. The mystery ship hung in space for a long moment, silent and still. Then a voice came through on all communication channels, heard by the Valor, the colony, and surely the Dominion ships as well. "Attention Dominion forces. This is Captain Thomas of the Earth vessel Phantom. You are in violation of protected space. You will power down your weapons and withdraw immediately, or you will be destroyed." The voice was calm, matter of fact, as if the speaker was commenting on the weather rather than challenging 12 warships. Morgan felt her jaw drop. The Phantom. The ghost ship from the briefing. It was real. "Captain," said Ray, his voice shaking, "the Dominion ships are powering up weapons, all of them. They're targeting the Phantom." On the second screen, Governor Davis looked equally shocked. "Captain Morgan, is that Yes, she whispered. The myth. The legend. It's real. The largest Dominion ship moved forward from their line. Its communication signal broadcast widely. Unknown vessel, came the voice of Commander Dex. You are outnumbered and outgunned. Surrender or be destroyed. Captain Thomas's reply was simple. No. What happened next would be told and retold across human space for years to come. The Phantom moved, faster than any ship its size should be able to move. Beams of strange blue-white energy lanced out from points along its hull, not from any visible weapon mounts. 3 Dominion ships exploded instantly, their shields seemingly useless against whatever the Phantom fired at them. My God, breathed Taylor. What kind of weapons are those? The Dominion ships scattered, firing frantically at the Phantom. Their weapons, powerful enough to cripple normal Earth ships, splashed harmlessly against some kind of invisible barrier around the massive vessel. The Phantom moved among them like a shark among minnows, firing those strange beams with perfect precision. 2 more Dominion ships erupted into fireballs. Morgan's communication console lit up. A private channel. Captain Morgan. Came Captain Thomas's voice. Admiral James sends his regards. Sorry, we're a bit early. Traffic was light. Morgan found herself laughing despite everything. Captain Thomas, you have no idea how glad we are to see you. The feeling is mutual. We've been watching the Dominion too long. Hold position. We'll clean this up and then talk. Phantom out. Morgan turned to her crew, who were all watching the battle with expressions of disbelief and growing hope. Well, she said, it seems the ghost is real after all. The screen filled with the face of a Dominion commander. Their species looked almost human, but with gray skin and eyes that were entirely black. No whites, no visible pupils. Just darkness. Earth vessels, the commander said, his voice oddly smooth. I am Commander Dex of the Dominion fleet. Your position is hopeless. Surrender now, and we will allow your crews to evacuate before we claim this world. Morgan stared back at him. This is a civilian colony protected under the Treaty of Proxima. Your presence here is an act of war. Dex smiled, showing teeth that were too sharp to be friendly. The treaty is over. Surrender or be destroyed. We decline your generous offer, Morgan said, and cut the transmission. They're powering weapons, reported Taylor. All ships, evasive maneuvers, ordered Morgan. Guardian, take the left flank. Swift, the right. Valor will draw their center. Fire at will. The battle began. The Earth ships moved with skill, darting between the larger Dominion vessels, firing precisely at weak points. But it was like children throwing rocks at giants. The Dominion ships absorbed most hits with their superior shields. 20 minutes in, the Swift took a direct hit to its engine core. Swift is dead in space, Captain, reported Ray. They're evacuating to escape pods. Guardian, cover those pods, Morgan ordered. We'll keep the cruisers busy. The Valor shook as enemy fire connected with their shields. Shields at 60%, called Taylor. We can't take much more of this. Morgan made a decision. She opened a private channel to Earth Command. This is Captain Morgan of the Valor. New Haven Colony is under attack by superior forces. We are outmatched 12-3. Request immediate reinforcements. The reply came quickly, but it wasn't what she hoped for. Captain Morgan, this is Admiral James. Hold position. Help is coming. Repeat, hold position for 6 hours. Morgan stared at the screen in disbelief. 6 hours? Admiral, we won't last 60 minutes. Trust me, Beth, said James, using her first name, which he never did in official communications. 6 hours, I promise. The transmission ended. Another hit rocked the ship. Shields at 40%, reported Taylor. The Guardian is taking heavy fire now, too. Morgan looked at the tactical display. The Dominion ships moved like wolves circling wounded prey. The Guardian was limping, its port side blackened from weapons fire. The Swift was completely dark now, its escape pods racing toward the colony. 6 hours. Impossible. Unless. Morgan looked down at the device on her wrist. The special signal. The call for a ghost. Captain. Ray was looking at her, waiting for orders. Morgan took a deep breath. New plan. We need to last 6 hours. Whatever it takes. She pressed the button on the device. A strange code pulsed out into space, on frequencies no normal ship would monitor. What was that, Captain? Asked Ray. Morgan looked out at the stars beyond the battle. A prayer, Lieutenant. A prayer to a ghost. 2 hours had passed since Captain Morgan sent the special signal. The battle had gone from bad to worse. The Guardian was gone now, destroyed in a flash of light and fire 30 minutes ago. Its crew had managed to launch most escape pods, but Morgan knew many good people had died. The Valor fought on alone, running on emergency power and determination. Shields at 12%, reported Taylor, his young face streaked with sweat and blood from a cut on his forehead. Engine 2 is offline. Weapons running at half power. Morgan nodded, too tired to speak. Her ship limped in a wide circle around the colony, firing when possible, dodging when necessary. The Dominion ships seemed to be playing with them now, taking their time, enjoying the hunt. Why don't they just finish us? Asked Ray, his voice barely above a whisper. Because they're cruel, Morgan answered. They want us to suffer, to beg. The main screen showed the colony below. Lights still burned in the cities. Millions of people watched and waited for their fate. Morgan had failed them. Captain, called out Ensign Parker from communications, we're getting a signal from the colony. Governor Davis wants to speak with you. Morgan sighed. Put him through. The governor's face appeared, grim but composed. Captain Morgan, our sensors show your situation. I want to thank you and your crew for your bravery. Don't thank me, Governor. We failed. The Dominion will reach the colony within the hour. Davis nodded slowly. I know. That's why I've made a decision. We're going to surrender. Governor, no. The Dominion doesn't take prisoners. We know what they do, he interrupted. But maybe they'll spare the children if we don't resist. It's our only hope now. Morgan felt a cold rage building inside her. This was wrong. All wrong. Humans shouldn't have to beg for mercy from anyone. Governor, please. Admiral James told me to hold for 6 hours. We have 4 more to go. Help might still come. Davis gave a sad smile. What help, Captain? The nearest Earth fleet is 3 days away. We both know that. I appreciate your courage, but it's time to face reality. Before Morgan could argue more, Lieutenant Ray called out, Captain, something's happening. Morgan turned to see the tactical display. A strange energy reading had appeared at the edge of the system. What is that? She demanded. Unknown, Captain, said Taylor, working his sensor controls frantically. It's putting out energy readings unlike anything I've ever seen. And it's growing. On the main screen, space itself seemed to bend and twist. A dark patch formed against the stars, like a hole in reality. It pulsed once, twice. Dominion ships are changing course, reported Ray. They're moving toward the anomaly. The governor was still on the second screen, his eyes wide. What's happening, Captain? I don't know, Morgan answered honestly. But deep inside, a tiny spark of hope flared to life. The dark patch in space expanded suddenly, growing to the size of a small moon. And from within it emerged a ship. It doesn't look like one of ours, said Morgan finally. The design is different. Exactly, said Alex. Yet it only targets Dominion ships, never ours. Admiral James cleared his throat. I've brought you all here because I'm authorizing a new communication protocol. If any of you encounter this vessel or find yourselves in a no-win scenario, broadcast this signal. He sent a data packet to their tablets. The captains looked down at the strange code sequence. And then what? Asked Reed. And then we see if the myth is real, replied James. Maybe it will show up, maybe not, But I'm tired of losing good people without trying everything possible. As the meeting ended, the captains filed out, talking in low voices. Some laughed off the briefing as desperation. Others looked thoughtful. Captain Morgan stayed behind. When the room emptied, she approached the admiral. "James," she said quietly, "level with me. Do you really believe in this ghost ship?" Admiral James looked at his old friend. They had served together for 20 years. 3 years ago. "No, but the evidence keeps piling up, Beth. And we need something. Anything." She nodded slowly. "New Haven Colony is under my protection next week. Dominion ships have been spotted heading that way. I know. If things go bad, use the signal," James said. "What's there to lose?" Morgan left, and James stood alone in the briefing room, staring at the image of the mysterious ship. Far from Earth, hidden in the asteroid belt of a system abandoned early in the war, a massive underground facility hummed with activity. Engineers in unmarked uniforms moved around a cavernous dock where a huge shape sat in shadow. 2 figures stood on an observation platform, looking down at the activity. "They're talking about us again," said one, an older man with white hair. "Admiral James held a briefing today." The second figure, tall and thin, nodded. "Good. The legend grows." "Is the ship ready?" asked the first. "After the repairs from the last battle." "Yes. Power systems at 98%. Cloak functioning perfectly." "And the crew?" "Tired, but ready." A light flashed on the console between them. "New distress pattern," said the younger man. "Matching our protocol." "Where?" "New Haven Colony. Dominion battle group incoming. Estimated arrival in 6 hours." The white-haired man sighed. "Alert Captain Thomas. Tell him to prep for jump." Below them, lights began to glow along the hull of the massive ship. For a moment, its full shape became visible. Angular, predatory, unlike any human vessel officially acknowledged to exist. The Phantom was awakening again. "Why am I being told this now?" Morgan asked. "Why bring me into the secret?" Thomas and James exchanged a glance. "Because," Thomas said finally, "the Phantom is no longer our only ship of this type." "What?" Morgan sat up straighter. "The battle you just witnessed wasn't just about saving New Haven Colony," James explained. "It was a coming-out party." Thomas nodded. "For the past 3 years, we've been building a fleet. 5 ships with visitor technology, each with different specializations. The Phantom is the flagship. The other 4 will be revealed in the coming weeks," added James. "We're taking the fight to the Dominion, and we need experienced captains who can handle the truth and adapt to the new technology." Morgan stared at them both. "Are you offering me command of one of these ships?" Thomas smiled. "The Eclipse, stealth and reconnaissance. It matches your style, according to your record. But my crew will have the choice to join you," James assured her. "Those who pass security clearance, of course." Morgan stood up and walked to the window. Outside, she could see her damaged ship, the Valor, with repair crews swarming over it. Beyond, New Haven Colony glowed peaceful and safe. For 5 years, humanity had been losing the war, retreating system by system. Now, everything would change. "There will be consequences," she said quietly, "when the Dominion realizes we have this technology." "Yes," Thomas agreed. "They'll be afraid. For the first time, they'll be the ones afraid." Morgan turned back to them. "When do I see this new ship, this Eclipse?" Thomas smiled. "Right now." He touched the wall again, and the view changed. A sleek black ship appeared, smaller than the Phantom, but with a similar shifting hull. It was beautiful and deadly. "Your new command, Captain Morgan, if you accept." Morgan studied the ship that would be hers, a ship that had been a myth until today, a ship that would help turn the tide of war. "I accept," she said firmly. Admiral James nodded with approval. "Then let's make it official. The myth is now reality, Captain. And soon, The whole galaxy will know it. As they left the room, Morgan took one last look at the Eclipse. Her ship, the next legend in a new fleet that would change everything. The war was about to enter a new phase. And this time, humanity wouldn't be the ones running. "They won't escape," said Wilson, noticing Morgan's gaze. "Nothing escapes the Phantom when Captain Thomas wants it stopped." The shuttle approached the massive ship, giving Morgan her first close look at it. The hull wasn't solid metal as she had assumed. Instead, it seemed to be made of overlapping plates that moved slightly, adjusting and readjusting constantly. Strange patterns of light flowed beneath the surface, like blood in veins. "What is this ship?" Morgan asked, unable to hide her awe. "What is it made of?" Wilson smiled slightly. "That's for Captain Thomas to explain." They docked with the Phantom through a bay that opened and closed like a living thing. Inside, the corridors were wide and well-lit, but with the same slightly shifting quality as the shuttle. Crew members moved purposefully about, all in the same black uniforms without rank or identification. Wilson led Morgan to what she assumed was the bridge. It was a large, circular room with workstations around the perimeter and a central command area raised on a platform. Standing there was a man of medium height with gray hair and calm eyes. "Captain Morgan," he said, stepping forward with an outstretched hand. "Captain Thomas, welcome to the Phantom." Morgan shook his hand. "Thank you for saving my ship and the colony. But I have so many questions." Thomas nodded. "I imagine you do, and I'll answer what I can." He gestured to a large display showing the battle outside. The final Dominion ship was trying to activate its jump drive to escape. "Watch," said Thomas softly. The Phantom fired one last time, but instead of the blue-white beams from before, this was a pulse of green energy that engulfed the Dominion ship. The enemy vessel didn't explode. Instead, it simply stopped. All lights went out. It drifted, dead in space. "What did you do to it?" asked Morgan. "Energy drain," explained Thomas. "Sometimes we need to capture rather than destroy, for intelligence purposes." He turned to face Morgan fully. "The battle is over. New Haven Colony is safe. Now, I believe I owe you some explanations about this ship that many thought was just a myth." Morgan looked around the bridge, at the technology that seemed decades beyond anything Earth officially possessed. "Yes," she said, "I think you do."
The Great Hall of the Galactic Council stretched for miles in every direction. Floating platforms held representatives from hundreds of worlds, but today only the most powerful species had been called to attend. The emergency meeting was classified, at the highest levels, and the topic was one that made even the oldest council members nervous. Commander Veltar of the Zephyrian Empire stood at the center podium, his blue-scaled skin shimmering under the artificial lights. His forearms moved gracefully as he activated the holographic display above him. The image showed a small blue and green planet orbiting a yellow star. "Honored council members," Veltar began, his voice carrying easily through the vast chamber. "We are here to discuss the human problem." A murmur went through the assembled aliens. Earth had been on their watch list for centuries, but it was considered a minor concern. The humans were primitive, barely managing to leave their own planet. What threat could they possibly pose? Ambassador Crystalline Song of Ages spoke first. Her body was made of living crystal that sang with harmonic frequencies when she moved. "The humans have barely achieved fusion power. Our youngest colonies have more advanced technology than their entire civilization." Veltar nodded, but his expression remained serious. That was true 50 years ago, but observe their progress rate. The hologram changed, showing human technological advancement over the past century. The progression was alarming. In 1950, humans had just learned to split atoms. By 2000, they had primitive computers. By 2050, they had fusion reactors and were mining asteroids. By 2100, they had established permanent colonies on Mars and Europa. The rate of advancement was unprecedented in galactic history. "This is impossible," rumbled General Void Whisper of the Wraith Federation. His shadow-like form flickered at the edges, a sign of his agitation. "No species develops this quickly. It took our people 3,000 years to progress from fusion power to interplanetary travel. The humans did it in 50. Exactly my point, Veltar replied. He manipulated the hologram to show detailed scans of human space activities. Look at their current capabilities. They have 17 colonies across their solar system. Their asteroid mining operations are more efficient than anything we've seen from species twice their age, and their population growth rate suggests they'll be ready for interstellar travel within decades, not centuries. The council chamber fell silent. The implications were staggering. Every species in the galaxy had followed similar development patterns. Slow, steady progress over thousands of years. The humans were breaking every rule they understood about technological advancement. Ambassador Crystalline Song of Ages sang a worried tune. Have they made contact with any other species? Perhaps they're receiving outside help? Negative, Veltar confirmed. Our monitoring stations have been watching them for 800 years. They developed everything themselves. Their advancement appears to be entirely internal. This made the situation even more concerning. If humans could advance this quickly on their own, what would happen when they discovered faster-than-light travel? What would happen when they learned about the galaxy, full of other civilizations? We have 3 options, Veltar continued. First, we make contact and try to guide their development peacefully. Second, we maintain observation and hope they remain contained to their solar system. Third, we intervene now while we still can. General Void Whisper's form darkened. The Wraith Federation votes for immediate intervention. These humans are unpredictable. They fight wars among themselves constantly, yet somehow this makes them stronger instead of weaker. They're unlike any species we've encountered. The Crystalline. Collective agrees, sang Ambassador Crystalline Song of Ages. But intervention must be surgical. We don't want to destroy them, just limit their expansion potential. The debate continued for hours. Representatives from smaller species voiced concerns about attacking a world that had never threatened anyone. But the 3 major powers had made their decision. Humanity had become too dangerous to ignore. Finally, Veltar called for the formal vote. All in favor of controlled intervention in the human solar system? The vote was overwhelming. Only 12 minor species voted against the intervention. The rest agreed that humanity needed to be stopped before they became a threat to galactics. Stability. Intervention is approved, Veltar announced. We will assemble a joint fleet. The humans will be given a chance to surrender peacefully. If they refuse, we will demonstrate the futility of resistance and establish a protectorate over their system. Within days, the largest military fleet in galactic history began assembling at the edge of human space. 500 ships from 3 different species, representing the most advanced military technology in the galaxy. Zephyrian battleships with plasma cannons that could crack moons. Crystalline vessels that could manipulate gravity itself. Wraith, shadow ships that could phase in and out of normal space. The fleet was commanded by Veltar himself, along with General Void Whisper and Crystal Admiral Deep Resonance. 3 of the galaxy's most experienced military leaders, commanding enough firepower to sterilize entire planets. As they approached the edge of the human solar system, their sensors confirmed what they expected. Mars had several million human colonists, but no significant military installations. Europa's underwater cities were impressive for such a young species, but posed no threat. The asteroid belt mining operations were extensive but purely civilian. Earth itself was the main population center, with over 12 billion humans. Their orbital infrastructure was growing rapidly, but their military presence in space was minimal. A few armed stations, some patrol vessels, nothing that could challenge even a single alien warship. It's almost sad, General Void Whisper commented as they reviewed the sensor data. They've accomplished so much in such a short time, but they're still children playing with dangerous toys. Crystal Admiral Deep Resonance's harmonic voice carried notes of regret. Perhaps we should reconsider. They pose no immediate threat, but Veltar had studied human history extensively. Look at their war records. They've been fighting each other for their entire recorded history. Every technological advancement they make, they immediately turn into weapons. Their fusion reactors become fusion bombs. Their space mining equipment becomes kinetic weapons. Given enough time, they'll turn everything into tools of war. The alien fleet maintained position at the edge of the Kuiper Belt, just beyond Pluto's orbit. From here, they could reach Earth in hours if needed. Their long-range sensors detected no signs of alarm from the human colonies. Normal space traffic continued between planets. No military mobilization was visible. "They don't even know we're here," observed one of the Zephyrian officers. "Their sensor technology is so primitive they can't detect our ships at this range." Veltar activated the communication array. It was time to make contact. The message would be broadcast on all human frequencies simultaneously, ensuring every colony and ship would receive it. "Attention, human civilization. This is Commander Veltar of the Galactic Council Fleet. Your species has been observed and evaluated. Your rapid technological advancement and aggressive tendencies pose a potential threat to galactic stability. You have 72 hours to surrender all military assets and accept Council oversight of your further development. Compliance will ensure your species' survival and gradual integration into galactic society. Resistance will result in the necessary steps being taken to ensure you are no longer a threat." The message was transmitted with enough power to reach every electronic device in the human solar system. There was no way the humans could miss it or misunderstand its meaning. The response came exactly 6 hours later. It was brief and transmitted from Earth's Luna station. "Commander Veltar, this is Admiral Sarah Chen of United Earth Defense Command. Your ultimatum has been received and reviewed. Our response is simple. Request denied. You have 72 hours to leave our system. This is your only warning." The alien commanders stared at their communication displays in disbelief. The humans were refusing to surrender? A species that had barely left their home planet was challenging a fleet that could destroy entire star systems? Perhaps they didn't understand the message, suggested Crystal Admiral Deep Resonance. Their translation systems might be inadequate. General Void Whisper's shadow form rippled with dark amusement. Oh, they understood perfectly. Look at their response time. 6 hours is exactly how long it would take to convene their leadership and reach a decision. This was calculated, not emotional. Veltar studied the tactical displays showing human activities throughout their solar system. Still no signs of military mobilization. No fleets moving to defensive positions. No evacuation of civilian areas. It was as if the humans were completely unconcerned about the threat facing them. "Run another sensor sweep," he ordered. "Full spectrum analysis of every human installation. There has to be something we're missing." The sensors found nothing new. A few orbital platforms around Earth that looked like weapons, but nothing that could threaten their fleet. Some armed patrol ships moving between colonies, but they were tiny compared to alien vessels. The humans appeared to be continuing their normal activities as if nothing had happened. "They're either incredibly brave or incredibly stupid," muttered one of the Wraith officers. "With humans, it's often both," replied Veltar. He had studied their species longer than anyone else in the fleet. Human behavior patterns were unlike anything else in the galaxy. They seemed to thrive on impossible challenges and refused to accept defeat even when facing overwhelming odds. The 72-hour deadline was approaching. Human space traffic continued normally. Cargo ships moved between planets. Construction continued on various orbital projects. There was no indication that they were preparing for war or planning to surrender. "Final sensor sweep," Veltar ordered as the deadline expired. "Confirm human military assets and prepare for demonstration of superior force." The sensors detected exactly what they had found before. A few armed stations, some patrol vessels, nothing that could challenge their overwhelming superiority. The humans had perhaps 50 ships that could be considered military vessels. The alien fleet had 500 ships, each one more advanced than anything humanity possessed. "All ships prepare for system entry," Veltar commanded. "We'll make one final approach to Earth orbit. When they see our full fleet, they'll understand the futility of resistance." As the massive alien armada began moving toward the inner solar system, their sensors continued monitoring human activities. Still no signs of panic or military preparation. The humans were either the bravest species in the galaxy, or they had a plan that the aliens couldn't detect. Neither Veltar nor his fellow commanders considered a third possibility. The humans might possess capabilities that their sensors couldn't detect because those capabilities were hidden somewhere the aliens had never thought to look. Deep beneath Earth's oceans, in trenches so deep that no alien sensor could penetrate them, automated systems that had been waiting for decades finally received their activation signals. The real test of human ingenuity was about to begin. The alien fleet moved steadily toward Earth, their massive ships gliding silently through space. Commander Veltar stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the tactical displays with growing confusion. The humans continued their normal activities, as if nothing had changed. "Status report on human military movements," he ordered. Lieutenant Zix-9 manipulated the sensor controls with his tentacles. "No changes detected, Commander. Human space traffic remains at normal levels. No fleet movements toward defensive positions. No evacuation of civilian areas." This behavior was unprecedented in Veltar's experience. Every other species the Council had contacted had shown immediate signs of panic or preparation when faced with superior force. The humans seemed completely unconcerned. On Earth's Luna station, Admiral Sarah Chen stood in the command center, watching the approaching alien fleet through the main view screen. Her officers worked quietly at their stations, monitoring long-range sensors and communication networks. The atmosphere was calm, almost relaxed. "Admiral," called Captain Rodriguez from the communication station, "the alien fleet has crossed Jupiter's orbit. Estimated arrival at Earth in 18 hours. "Acknowledged," Admiral Chen replied calmly. She turned to her tactical officer. "Status on Leviathan project?" Commander Park checked his secure terminal. "All installations report ready status. Deep Pacific, Atlantic Trench, Arctic Basin, and all other facilities confirm full operational readiness. 30 years of construction have led to this moment." Admiral Chen nodded. The alien fleet had no idea what they were approaching. For 3 decades, Earth's greatest minds had worked on a project so classified that fewer than 10,000 people knew it existed. While the aliens watched Earth's surface and orbital space, humanity had been building something incredible in the deepest parts of their oceans. Dr. Elena Vasquez sat in her command chair, 12 kilometers beneath the Pacific Ocean's surface. Around her, the Mariana installation hummed with quiet activity. Her engineering teams had spent decades perfecting systems that no other species had ever imagined. "Final systems check," she announced to her crew. "Power core status?" 0-point generators operating at maximum efficiency," reported her chief engineer. "We have enough power to run every system simultaneously for 6 months. Gravitational manipulators? Online and calibrated. We can lift the entire installation to the surface in under 20 minutes. Quantum communication array? Full connectivity with all other installations. We're linked with Deep Pacific, Atlantic Abyss, Arctic, Crown, and the 9 other facilities worldwide." Dr. Vasquez smiled. The aliens thought they understood human technology. They had watched Earth's surface development and assumed that was the limit of human capability. They had never considered that humans might build downward instead of upward. Back on Luna Station, Admiral Chen received a priority message from Earth's Defense Council. The civilian leadership had been briefed on the alien threat and had given full authorization for any necessary response. "Admiral Chen," the message read, "you have complete authority to defend Earth by any means necessary. The Leviathan project is approved for full deployment. Show them what humanity can do." She turned to her communications officer. "Send activation codes to all installations. Project Leviathan is now fully operational. Across Earth's oceans, 12 separate facilities received the same coded transmission. Deep beneath the waves in trenches and abyssal plains that had never seen sunlight, humanity's greatest achievement began to wake up. The alien fleet continued its approach, now passing the asteroid belt. Their sensors swept continuously across the inner solar system, looking for any sign of hidden human defenses. They found mining operations, cargo ships, and construction projects, but nothing that seemed military in nature. "Commander," reported the crystalline sensor operator, her voice singing with harmonics of confusion, "we're detecting some unusual seismic activity on Earth. Multiple locations in the oceans show elevated geological readings." Veltar examined the data. Earth was a geologically active planet, so seismic activity was normal. But the readings were coming from 12 separate locations simultaneously, all in the deepest ocean trenches. Probably volcanic activity, he decided. The planet's core is still active. Natural geological processes. He had no way of knowing that those seismic readings were caused by something far from natural. Deep beneath the ocean floor, massive mechanical systems were powering up for the first time in 30 years. Dr. Vasquez watched her displays as power flowed through systems the size of cities. The Mariana installation was just one part of humanity's hidden defense network. Each installation housed something that should have been impossible for such a young species to build. "Structural integrity check complete," reported her lieutenant. "All hull sections are secure. Atmospheric processors are online. Artificial gravity generators are stable." "Excellent," Dr. Vasquez replied. "Begin surface preparation sequence. It's time to show our visitors what Earth is really capable of." Similar conversations were happening at 11 other locations around Earth. The Atlantic Abyss installation prepared to rise from depths that had never known human presence. The Arctic Crown facility began melting through kilometers of ice and rock. The Pacific Deep Complex activated systems that defied known physics. On Luna Station, Admiral Chen watched the alien fleet's progress with calm satisfaction. Her tactical displays showed their exact positions, their weapon capabilities, and their communication frequencies. Earth's sensor networks were far more advanced than the aliens realized. "Ma'am," called her intelligence officer, "we're receiving detailed scans of the alien vessels. Their technology is impressive, but not beyond our capabilities. Our analysis suggests they're using conventional plasma weapons and gravitational shielding." "Good," Admiral Chen replied. "That means our countermeasures should be effective." The alien fleet had stopped at Mars orbit to conduct final preparations for their approach to Earth. Commander Veltar wanted to give the humans one last chance to surrender before demonstrating superior force. "Open communication channels to Earth," he ordered. "Final warning to human leadership." The message was broadcast across all frequencies. "Human leadership, this is your final opportunity to surrender peacefully. Our fleet will reach Earth orbit in 6 hours. Submit now and your species will be preserved under Council oversight. Continue your resistance and face the consequences of challenging superior forces." Admiral Chen's response was broadcast immediately. "Commander Veltar, your offer is refused. Earth will defend itself with all available resources. You were warned to leave our system. Since you have ignored our warning, you will now discover why that was a mistake." General Void Whisper's shadow form flickered with dark amusement. "The humans actually believe they can fight us. This will be educational for them." Crystal Admiral Deep Resonance sang notes of concern. "Their confidence is troubling. Either they are delusional, or they know something we don't." Veltar studied the tactical displays once more. Human military assets remained minimal and scattered. Their strongest weapons appeared to be orbital defense platforms that couldn't match a single alien vessel. Either the humans were bluffing, or they had some hidden capability that his sensors couldn't detect. "Begin final approach to Earth," he commanded. "All ships maintain formation. Prepare to demonstrate overwhelming superiority." As the alien fleet moved toward Earth, seismic activity across the planet's oceans increased dramatically. Ocean monitoring stations recorded unprecedented movements in the deepest trenches. Tidal measuring devices detected massive displacements of water that couldn't be explained by normal geological processes. Dr. Vasquez felt the deck plates beneath her feet begin to vibrate as the Mariana installation started its ascent. Around her, displays showed depth readings changing for the first time in 30 years. They were rising from depths no surface dweller had ever imagined. "All stations report ready for emergency surface," she announced to her crew. "Structural integrity holding at all levels. We are go for full deployment." Similar reports came from installations around the globe. The Atlantic Abyss facility broke through seafloor sediments that had accumulated for millions of years. The Arctic Crown installation melted through ice sheets with directed energy beams. The Pacific Deep Complex began its journey from the deepest trenches on Earth. On the surface, oceanographers and seismologists watched their instruments with growing alarm. The readings made no sense. Something massive was moving beneath the oceans, something larger than anything in recorded history. Admiral Chen smiled as she watched status reports from all 12 installations. 30 years of the most classified project in human history was about to be revealed. The aliens had expected to find a primitive species barely capable of interplanetary travel. Instead, they were about to discover that humanity had been preparing for this day since they first detected alien observation posts. "Ma'am," reported her tactical officer. "All Leviathan installations report ready for surface deployment. The fleet is in position and awaiting your orders." "Excellent," Admiral Chen replied. "Signal all installations. Execute surface protocol. It's time to introduce our visitors to real human engineering." The alien fleet crossed the moon's orbit, their sensors now focused entirely on Earth. They detected the orbital platforms, the space stations, and the few military vessels that comprised humanity's visible defenses. Nothing they saw could challenge their overwhelming superiority. Commander Veltar was confident that this would be a simple demonstration of force followed by human surrender. Every other species had capitulated when faced with such odds. The humans would learn the same lesson their predecessors had. But deep beneath Earth's oceans, something unprecedented was beginning to happen. Water that had rested undisturbed for millions of years began to churn and boil as massive shapes rose from the deepest trenches on the planet. The aliens were about to learn that they had made a fundamental error in their assessment of human capabilities. They had looked up at the stars when they should have looked down into the depths. Humanity's greatest achievement had been hidden not in space, but beneath the waves of their own world. The real test was about to begin. The alien fleet moved into Earth's inner system, their massive ships casting shadows across the space between Earth and its moon. Commander Veltar stood on his bridge, watching the final sensor sweeps of human defenses. Everything appeared exactly as expected. A few orbital stations, some patrol vessels, nothing that could threaten even their smallest warship. "All ships report ready for final approach," announced Lieutenant Zix-9. Human defensive capabilities remain minimal and scattered. Veltar nodded, satisfied. This would be over quickly. The humans would see their overwhelming force and surrender peacefully. It was better this way. Humanity had potential, but they needed guidance to develop safely. On Earth's surface, seismic monitoring stations around the Pacific Ocean recorded readings that made no sense. Dr. Janet Hughes, chief seismologist at the Hawaii Institute, stared at her computer screen in disbelief. "This can't be right," she muttered, adjusting her instruments. The readings show something the size of a small island rising from the Mariana Trench. Her assistant, Dr. Kim, looked over her shoulder at the data. "The displacement readings are incredible. Whatever's down there is massive. Maybe it's a new, volcanic island forming, but Dr. Hughes had been studying Earth's geology for 30 years. She knew the difference between volcanic activity and something else entirely. "This isn't geological," she said quietly. "This is something else." 12 kilometers beneath the Pacific's surface, Dr. Elena Vasquez watched her control displays as the Mariana installation continued its ascent. Around her, the massive structure groaned and creaked as systems that had been dormant for decades came online. "Depth now at 8 kilometers and rising," reported her navigation officer. "All structural sections remain secure. Hull integrity at 100%. Dr. Vasquez had spent her entire career on this project. She had been a young engineer when construction began 30 years ago. Now, as the installation rose toward the surface for the first time, she felt a mixture of pride and anticipation. "Status on sister installations?" she asked. "Atlantic Abyss reports on schedule for surface breach. Arctic Crown is melting through the final ice barriers." All 12 installations are rising simultaneously. The alien fleet continued its approach, now close enough that Earth filled their main viewers. The blue and white planet looked peaceful and defenseless. Their sensors showed normal weather patterns, regular communication traffic, and no signs of military preparation. "Begin final descent toward Earth orbit," Veltar commanded. "Maintain formation. Prepare to broadcast surrender terms when we reach optimal position." But something was happening on Earth's oceans that their sensors couldn't properly interpret. The seismic activity they had dismissed as normal geological processes was increasing dramatically. Ocean monitoring satellites detected massive disturbances in 12 different locations. Commander Park on Luna Station watched his tactical displays with growing excitement. "Admiral," he called to Admiral Chen, "first surface breach detected in the Pacific. Mariana installation is breaking the surface now." Admiral Chen moved to the main view screen, which showed a live satellite feed of the Pacific Ocean. At first, nothing seemed unusual. Then the ocean surface began to bulge upward as something massive pushed through from below. The water rose higher and higher, forming a dome that stretched for dozens of kilometers. Then, breaking through like a whale emerging from the depths, something impossible appeared. The UHSS Leviathan breached the surface of the Pacific Ocean. The alien fleet sensors immediately detected the massive energy signature, but their computers struggled to process what they were seeing. The readings made no sense. Something had just emerged from Earth's ocean that was larger than their entire command ship. "What is that?" General Void Whisper's shadow form flickered with confusion as he stared at the sensor readouts. Lieutenant Zix-9's tentacles worked frantically over his controls. "Unknown contact emerging from Earth's ocean. Mass readings are..." "Commander, this cannot be correct. The object is 47 kilometers long." "Check your instruments," Veltar ordered sharply. "No ship can be that large. Even our greatest battleships are only 8 kilometers long." But the readings were confirmed by multiple sensors from different ships. Something massive had just risen from Earth's Pacific Ocean. As they watched, 11 more enormous objects breached the surface at locations around the globe. The Leviathan was a masterpiece of human engineering that defied everything the galaxy understood about shipbuilding. Its hull gleamed with an oily iridescence that suggested materials beyond current understanding. Along its massive length, hundreds of launch bays began opening like the gills of some enormous sea creature. Dr. Vasquez stood on the Leviathan's command bridge, looking out at the ocean surface for the first time in 30 years. Around her, displays showed the status of all 12 supercarriers as they stabilized on the surface. "All installations report successful surface deployment," announced her communications officer. "We have full connectivity with the fleet command network." The carriers were not just ships. They were floating cities, each one containing manufacturing facilities, research laboratories, living quarters for millions of personnel, and weapon systems that incorporated breakthrough technologies. They represented the culmination of humanity's secret development program. On Luna Station, Admiral Chen opened communication channels to the alien fleet. It was time to reveal what humanity had really been doing for the past 30 years. "Commander Veltar," she broadcast on all frequencies, "this is Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Human Space Command. You were warned to leave our system. Since you chose to ignore our request, you will now witness what humanity has been preparing for the last 3 decades." The alien commanders stared at their displays in shock. The 12 massive ships floating on Earth's oceans were larger than anything in their fleets. But size wasn't everything. They still had superior numbers and advanced technology. "Impossible," Crystal Admiral Deep Resonance sang, her harmonic voice filled with disbelief. "How did they hide construction of ships this size? Our monitoring stations have watched Earth for centuries." Commander Veltar studied the tactical readings with growing unease. The human ships were enormous, but they appeared to be using unknown technology. Their energy signatures didn't match any known propulsion or power systems. "Run full spectrum analysis," he ordered. "I want to know what we're dealing with." The results that came back shook the foundations of everything they understood about technology. The human ships were using zero-point energy extraction, gravitational manipulation, and quantum tunneling systems, technologies that should have taken millennia to develop. General Void Whisper's shadow form darkened with concern. How is this possible? They've advanced from fusion power to technologies we don't even understand in just 50 years. Dr. Vasquez activated the Leviathan's external communication system. Her voice broadcast across all channels, reaching every ship in the alien fleet. "Honored representatives of the galactic species," she began, "you made a critical error in your assessment of human capabilities. You assumed our technological development followed your linear progression models. You never considered that we might choose to build downward instead of upward." The alien fleet maintained position as they tried to understand what they were facing. The human carriers began launching smaller vessels, but these weren't traditional fighters. They were hybrid craft that seemed to blur the line between ship and weapon. Void phase fighters that could become partially transparent emerged from the Leviathan's launch bays. Graviton bombers that seemed to bend space around them launched from the Atlantic abyss. Reconnaissance drones that flickered in and out of existence deployed from carriers around the globe. "Their fighter craft are using technologies we've never seen," reported the Zephyrian sensor officer. "Some of them appear to be phasing in and out of normal space." Commander Veltar realized they were facing something unprecedented. The humans hadn't just built bigger ships. They had developed entirely new approaches to physics and engineering. Admiral Chen's voice continued broadcasting to the alien fleet. "Every year you delayed contact, we grew exponentially stronger. We didn't remain hidden out of fear. We remained hidden out of caution. We needed time to prepare for this moment." The 12 supercarriers formed a defensive formation around Earth, their massive bulk displacing enough water to affect ocean currents around the globe. Launch bays along their hulls continued opening, revealing the scope of their construction. Each carrier housed not just military systems but entire ecosystems, manufacturing facilities that could produce advanced materials in zero gravity, research laboratories that pushed the boundaries of known science, living quarters for crews numbered in the hundreds of thousands. Dr. Vasquez watched the tactical displays showing the alien fleet's position. They had superior numbers, but she wasn't concerned. The carriers represented more than just military might. They were the physical manifestation of human creativity combined with artificial intelligence. "Bring online the quantum manufacturing systems," she ordered. "I want the aliens to see what we can do." The Leviathan's manufacturing bays activated, instantly converting seawater into exotic materials that shouldn't exist outside laboratory conditions. Metals that could exist in multiple phases simultaneously. Alloys that could manipulate gravity at the molecular level. Crystalline structures that could store and redirect energy in impossible ways. The alien fleet watched in growing alarm as the human carriers demonstrated capabilities that defied their understanding of physics. Matter was being converted and restructured at the atomic level. Materials were being created that their scientists insisted were theoretical impossibilities. "Commander," reported Lieutenant Zix-9, his voice tight with stress, "the humans are manufacturing materials that our science says cannot exist. How is this possible?" Veltar had no answer. Everything they understood about technological development suggested the humans should be centuries away from this level of capability. Yet here they were, demonstrating technologies that surpassed anything in the galactic fleet. The human carriers began moving into formation around Earth, their massive bulk creating waves that could be seen from orbit. But they weren't just ships. They were mobile bases, construction facilities, and research platforms all combined into single vessels. Admiral Chen opened communications once more. "Honored aliens, we offer you a choice. Withdraw from our system peacefully, and we can discuss future relations as equals. Continue your aggressive approach and you will discover why we spent 30 years preparing for this moment." The alien fleet held position, their commanders faced with an impossible decision. They had come to subdue a primitive species and instead found themselves confronting technology that made their own seem obsolete. The 12 human supercarriers floated on Earth's oceans like islands of impossible engineering, their presence fundamentally altering the balance of power in the galaxy. The real demonstration of human capabilities was just beginning. The alien fleet held position in Earth orbit, their commanders struggling to comprehend what they were witnessing. The 12 massive human carriers floating on the planet's oceans represented technology that should not exist. Yet here they were, defying every law of physics the galaxy thought it understood. Commander Veltar convened an emergency meeting with his fellow commanders. General Void Whisper's shadow form flickered with agitation, while Crystal Admiral Deep Resonance sang worried harmonics that filled the conference room. Analysis report, Veltar demanded from his science officers. Chief Scientist Mordek, a tall Zephyrian with 6 arms, manipulated multiple data displays simultaneously. Commander, the human vessels are using technologies we considered theoretical impossibilities. Their power systems appear to extract energy directly from quantum vacuum fluctuations. Their hull materials exist in multiple quantum states simultaneously. And their propulsion? They're manipulating space-time itself. That's impossible, General Void Whisper interrupted, his shadow form darkening. No species develops quantum manipulation technology without going through thousands of years of intermediate steps. The humans barely had nuclear fusion 50 years ago. Crystal Admiral Deep Resonance sang notes of deep concern. Perhaps they received outside help? Some unknown species sharing advanced technology? Negative, replied Intelligence Officer Zentar. Our monitoring has been comprehensive. The humans developed everything independently, but their development rate suggests something unprecedented has occurred. Dr. Elena Vasquez stood on the Leviathan's bridge, watching the alien fleet through the main view screen. Around her, human officers worked at stations displaying information the aliens couldn't imagine. Quantum consciousness interfaces, probability manipulation fields, and temporal analysis systems. Status on the alien fleet? She asked her tactical officer. Commander Liu studied his displays. They're maintaining position, but their formation suggests confusion rather than attack preparation. Their communication intercepts indicate they're having difficulty understanding our technology. Dr. Vasquez smiled. The aliens had made the same mistake every advanced civilization made when encountering a newer species. They assumed technological development followed predictable patterns. They never considered what might happen when a species achieved technological singularity. Bring online the consciousness interface systems, she ordered. It's time to show them what human AI synthesis can accomplish. Throughout the carrier, systems that blended human creativity with artificial intelligence capabilities activated. The Leviathan wasn't just a ship operated by humans. It was a hybrid entity where human consciousness and AI processing power worked together as a single intelligence. Similar activations occurred across all 12 carriers. The Atlantic Abyss brought online quantum computing arrays that could process infinite parallel calculations. The Arctic Crown activated probability manipulation systems that could influence random events at the subatomic level. The Pacific Deep connected to a network that spanned the entire planet's ocean floor. Back on the alien flagship, sensors detected energy patterns unlike anything they had encountered. The human ships weren't just using advanced technology. They were using technology that seemed to operate outside the normal laws of physics. Commander, reported Science Officer Mordek, the humans are generating fields that appear to influence quantum probability itself. According to our instruments, they're making impossible events become likely outcomes. Veltar studied the readings with growing unease. Explain that in terms I can understand. They're changing the fundamental rules of reality around their ships. A weapon that should miss becomes likely to hit. A system that should fail becomes likely to succeed. They're not just using technology. They're rewriting the laws of physics on a local level. This revelation sent shockwaves through the alien command structure. Every species in the galaxy operated within the same physical constraints. The humans seemed to be operating outside those constraints entirely. Admiral Sarah Chen opened a new communication channel from Luna Station. Her message was broadcast directly to the command staff of all alien vessels. Honored galactic representatives, she began, I believe it's time for complete honesty. We've been aware of your surveillance for over 2 centuries. We've monitored your civilizations, studied your technologies, and learned from your developmental patterns. The admission stunned the alien commanders. The humans had known about them for 200 years? How had they detected surveillance that should have been unnoticeable to such a primitive species? Admiral Chen continued, "We realized early that our rapid technological advancement would eventually attract attention. So we made a decision that no other species has made. Instead of expanding into space, we chose to develop inward. Instead of building bigger ships, we chose to build better integration between biological and artificial intelligence." Dr. Vasquez activated visual displays that showed the true scope of human development. The 12 carriers were just the visible portion of a vast network. Beneath Earth's oceans, tunnel systems connected installations on every continent. Quantum communication arrays linked human colonies throughout the solar system, and most importantly, every human settlement was connected to a collective intelligence network. "We achieved technological singularity 30 years ago," Admiral Chen explained. "But unlike other species that might have made this breakthrough, we maintained our individual consciousness while gaining access to collective processing power. Every human can access the combined knowledge and analytical capability of our entire species." This revelation shook the alien fleet to its core. Technological singularity was the theoretical point where artificial intelligence surpassed biological intelligence, leading to exponential advancement beyond prediction. Most species that achieved this point either lost their individual identity or destroyed themselves. The humans had found a third path. "They're networked," whispered General Void Whisper. "Every human is connected to a collective intelligence. That's why their advancement rate was so unprecedented." Crystal Admiral Deep Resonance sang harmonics of amazement and fear. A species-wide quantum consciousness network. The processing power would be infinite. Commander Veltar realized the full scope of their error. They hadn't come to conquer a primitive species. They had challenged a post-singularity civilization that had been preparing for this encounter for decades. "What are their actual capabilities?" he asked his science team. Chief Scientist Mordek worked frantically at his displays. "Based on energy readings and technological analysis, Commander, they could probably build their own galaxy if they wanted to. The matter conversion systems we're detecting could restructure entire star systems." The human demonstration continued. The Leviathan activated its faster-than-light drive system, instantly disappearing from Earth's Pacific Ocean and reappearing near the moon. No jump gates, no preparation time, no energy buildup that should have been detectable. The massive carrier simply chose to be in a different location. "Impossible," breathed Lieutenant Zix-9. "They moved a 47-kilometer ship instantaneously across 200,000 kilometers of space. Our fastest ships need minutes to make that journey." But the Leviathan's demonstration wasn't over. The carrier began manufacturing smaller vessels in real time, converting local space debris into fully functional ships within minutes. Each new vessel incorporated the same impossible technologies as the parent carrier. Dr. Vasquez opened direct communication with the alien fleet commanders. "Honored visitors, you came here believing you were dealing with a primitive species that needed guidance. Instead, you've encountered a civilization that has moved beyond the technological limitations you still face." She activated displays showing human capabilities throughout the solar system. Mars colonies that could manufacture entire cities overnight. Europa installations that had hollowed out the moon's interior for living space. Asteroid mining operations that could disassemble and reconstruct entire planetary bodies. "We didn't remain hidden out of fear," Dr. Vasquez continued. "We remained hidden out of courtesy. We wanted to understand galactic civilization before revealing ourselves. We wanted to be certain that contact would be beneficial for all parties." The alien fleet faced an unprecedented situation. They had come to demonstrate superior force to a primitive species. Instead, they found themselves outmatched by technology they couldn't understand, facing beings whose capabilities seemed almost godlike. Commander Veltar opened emergency communications with the Galactic Council. "Council Command, this is Fleet Commander Veltar. We have encountered an unprecedented situation. The humans are not primitive. Repeat, the humans are not primitive. They possess post-singularity technology and capabilities that exceed our understanding. The response from the Council was immediate. Explain your status, Commander. Are you under attack? Negative, Council Command. We are not under attack, but we are completely outmatched. The humans have technology that makes our entire fleet obsolete. They could destroy us easily, but they're choosing not to. Admiral Chen's voice broadcast across all alien vessels. We offer you a choice, honored representatives. Leave our system peacefully, and we can establish diplomatic relations as equals. Continue your aggressive approach, and you will discover why we have been preparing for this moment for 30 years. The alien commanders faced an impossible decision. Their pride demanded they press forward with their original mission. Their survival instincts screamed that they were facing an enemy that could annihilate them without effort. The 12 human supercarriers waited patiently on Earth's oceans, their presence a demonstration of power beyond the galaxy's understanding. Behind them, the blue and white planet that had seemed so peaceful and defenseless revealed itself as the home of a species that had transcended the normal limits of physical existence. The future of galactic civilization hung in the balance, depending on the decision of aliens who had suddenly discovered they were no longer the most advanced species in the galaxy. The human demonstration continued. The Leviathan activated its faster-than-light drive system, instantly disappearing from Earth's Pacific Ocean and reappearing near the moon. No jump gates, no preparation time, no energy buildup that should have been detectable. The massive carrier simply chose to be in a different location. Impossible, breathed Lieutenant Zix-9. They moved a 47-kilometer ship instantaneously across 200,000 kilometers of space. Our fastest ships need minutes to make that journey. But the Leviathan's demonstration wasn't over. The carrier began manufacturing smaller vessels in real time, converting local space debris into fully functional ships within minutes. Each new vessel incorporated the same impossible technologies as the parent carrier. Dr. Vasquez opened direct communication with the alien fleet commanders. Honored visitors, you came here believing you were dealing with a primitive species that needed guidance. Instead, you've encountered a civilization that has moved beyond the technological limitations you still face. She activated displays showing human capabilities throughout the solar system. Mars colonies that could manufacture entire cities overnight. Europa installations that had hollowed out the moon's interior for living space. Asteroid mining operations that could disassemble and reconstruct entire planetary bodies. We didn't remain hidden out of fear, Dr. Vasquez continued. We remained hidden out of courtesy. We wanted to understand galactic civilization before revealing ourselves. We wanted to be certain that contact would be beneficial for all parties. The alien fleet faced an unprecedented situation. They had come to demonstrate superior force to a primitive species. Instead, they found themselves outmatched by technology they couldn't understand, facing beings whose capabilities seemed almost godlike. Commander Veltar opened emergency communications with the Galactic Council. Council Command, this is Fleet Commander Veltar. We have encountered an unprecedented situation. The humans are not primitive. Repeat, the humans are not primitive. They possess post-singularity technology and capabilities that exceed our understanding. The response from the Council was immediate. Explain your status, Commander. Are you under attack? Negative, Council Command. We are not under attack, but we are completely outmatched. The humans have technology that makes our entire fleet obsolete. They could destroy us easily, but they're choosing not to. Admiral Chen's voice broadcast across all alien vessels. We offer you a choice, honored representatives. Leave our system peacefully, and we can establish diplomatic relations as equals. Continue your aggressive approach, and you will discover why we have been preparing for this moment for 30 years. The alien commanders faced an impossible decision. Their pride demanded they press forward with their original mission. Their survival instincts screamed that they were facing an enemy that could annihilate them without effort. The 12 human supercarriers waited patiently on Earth's oceans, their presence a demonstration of power beyond the galaxy's understanding. Behind them, the blue and white planet that had seemed so peaceful and defenseless revealed itself as the home of a species that had transcended the normal limits of physical existence. The future of galactic civilization hung in the balance, depending on the decision of aliens who had suddenly discovered they were no longer the most advanced species in the galaxy. The alien fleet commanders faced the most difficult decision of their careers. Commander Veltar paced his bridge, his forearms gesturing as he wrestled with impossible choices. Attack a species that could apparently rewrite physics itself? Retreat and admit that their entire understanding of galactic hierarchy was wrong? General Void Whisper's shadow form flickered with uncertainty. Our forces are superior in number. 500 ships against 12, regardless of their size. Crystal Admiral Deep Resonance sang doubtful harmonics. Numbers mean nothing if their technology is truly post-singularity. We could be facing opponents who can manipulate reality itself. The debate was interrupted by a priority transmission from Earth. Admiral Chen's image appeared on all alien vessels simultaneously, somehow bypassing their communication security completely. "Honored commanders," she began. "I understand you're facing a difficult decision. Perhaps it would help if we demonstrated our true capabilities more clearly." Dr. Elena Vasquez stood beside Admiral Chen on the transmission, her hand resting on a control interface. "We've been monitoring your communications, of course. Your concern about our post-singularity status is correct, but we're not the threat you think we are." The transmission shifted to show the interior of the Leviathan. The alien commanders stared in amazement at corridors filled with humans and artificial intelligences working together seamlessly. Gardens grew alongside quantum computers. Children played in areas next to laboratories that manipulated the fundamental forces of the universe. "This is what post-singularity civilization looks like when guided by human values," Dr. Vasquez explained. "We didn't lose our humanity when we gained unlimited technological capability. We enhanced it." Commander Veltar studied the transmission carefully. "What exactly are you proposing?" Admiral Chen smiled. "We're proposing that you reconsider your entire approach to galactic governance. The Council's method of controlling younger species through superior force is obsolete. We offer a better alternative." The transmission expanded to show detailed intelligence reports on every species in the alien fleet. Personal information about individual commanders, technical specifications of their ships, and even predictions about their psychological responses to various scenarios. "We've been studying your civilizations for 200 years, Admiral Chen continued. We know your technologies, your social structures, your political systems. More importantly, we understand your potential for growth." This revelation sent shockwaves through the alien command structure. The humans hadn't just been preparing for defense, they had been preparing for everything. General Void Whisper's shadow form darkened with alarm. "They know everything about us. Our ship designs, our weapon capabilities, even our personal histories. That's not meant as a threat," Dr. Vasquez said, apparently reading his thoughts through some unknown means. "It's meant as an offer of cooperation. We've seen what your species can accomplish when working together instead of competing." Yike! Human demonstration continued. The 12 supercarriers simultaneously activated their manufacturing systems, but instead of weapons, they began producing gifts. Medical technology that could cure diseases affecting Zephyrian biology, crystalline resonance chambers that could enhance crystalline consciousness, shadow phase generators that could improve Wraith stealth capabilities. "We're not interested in conquest or domination," Admiral Chen explained. "We're interested in advancement, collective advancement that benefits everyone." Commander Veltar watched in amazement as the human carriers produced technologies specifically designed to help alien species overcome their biological and technological limitations. "Why would you share such advanced technology?" "Because that's what intelligent species should do," replied Dr. Vasquez. "Competition slows progress. Cooperation accelerates it exponentially." The alien fleet received detailed technical specifications for the technologies being offered. Their scientists confirmed that the medical advances alone could extend lifespans and enhance cognitive abilities across all known species. Crystal Admiral Deep Resonance sang notes of wonder. "These technologies could revolutionize our entire civilization. Why offer them freely?" "Because we've learned something your species haven't discovered yet," Admiral Chen replied. "True advancement comes not from hoarding knowledge but from sharing it. When everyone advances, everyone benefits." The 12 human carriers began demonstrating their ultimate capability. Working together, they focused their matter conversion systems on a nearby asteroid. Within minutes, the rocky debris was transformed into a fully functional space station, complete with life support, manufacturing facilities, and communication arrays. "We can build anything, anywhere, anytime," Dr. Vasquez explained. Planets, star systems, entire sectors of space-based civilization. The only limitation is imagination. But the most impressive demonstration was yet to come. The human carriers activated their quantum consciousness interfaces, temporarily extending the network to include the alien fleet. For a brief moment, every alien commander experienced what it meant to be connected to a species-wide intelligence. The sensation was overwhelming. Veltar suddenly had access to the combined knowledge of billions of human minds. He could feel the collective creativity, the shared problem-solving ability, the unified purpose that guided human civilization, and beneath it all, he sensed something the galaxy had never seen before, a post-singularity species that had maintained its compassion. "This is what we offer," Admiral Chen said as the connection faded. "Not conquest, not domination, but partnership, in true advancement." The alien commanders were left speechless. They had experienced, however briefly, what it meant to be part of a collective intelligence that enhanced rather than diminished individual consciousness. "The choice is yours," Dr. Vasquez continued. "You can attempt to maintain the old system of control through force, or you can join us in building something better." Commander Veltar looked at his tactical displays, seeing his fleet's weapons and shields with new understanding. Everything they had seemed primitive compared to what they had just witnessed. But more importantly, he realized that the humans were offering something no species had ever offered before: genuine partnership between equals. "Fleet Command," he announced to his vessels, "stand down all weapons. Prepare for diplomatic transmission." His message to Earth was broadcast on all frequencies. "Admiral Chen, Commander Veltar of the Combined Fleet, we formally request immediate ceasefire and diplomatic negotiations. The Galactic Council must be informed of this unprecedented situation." "Granted," Admiral Chen replied immediately. "We welcome the opportunity for peaceful discussion." General Void Whisper's shadow form brightened for the first time since arriving at Earth. "The Wraith Federation agrees to negotiations. Your demonstration of post-singularity capabilities has been educational." Crystal Admiral Deep Resonance sang harmonies of agreement. The Crystalline Collective also agrees. "We are honored to encounter a species that has achieved advancement without losing its essential nature." Within hours, the first interspecies diplomatic conference in galactic history was being held aboard the Leviathan. Representatives from dozens of species, many of whom had never spoken directly to each other, gathered in chambers that could accommodate any form of life. The conference room itself was a marvel of human technology. The atmosphere could be adjusted for different species simultaneously. Gravity fields could be customized for individual comfort. Translation systems provided perfect communication between any combination of languages. Admiral Chen addressed the assembly. "Honored representatives, we stand at a crossroads in galactic history. The old system of control through superior force has reached its natural limit. We propose a new system based on cooperation and shared advancement." Dr. Vasquez presented detailed plans for galactic development projects that could benefit every species, terraforming technologies that could create suitable worlds for any form of life, educational systems that could accelerate technological development without the dangers of unguided advancement, medical technologies that could eliminate disease and extend lifespans across all known biology. "But these advancements require cooperation," she explained. "No single species, no matter how advanced, can achieve its full potential alone. We need diversity of thought, different approaches to problems, varied perspectives on solutions." The negotiations continued for weeks. The Galactic Council was reconvened, this time with Earth as not just a member, but a founding partner in a new form of interstellar cooperation. The old hierarchy based on technological superiority was replaced by a collective advancement system where every species contributed their unique strengths. 6 months later, the first Galactic Advancement Assembly was held aboard the Leviathan, permanently stationed in Earth's Pacific Ocean as a symbol of the new cooperative era. Representatives from hundreds of species worked together on projects that would have been impossible under the old system. Commander Veltar, now serving as Earth's liaison to the former Council species, stood on the Leviathan's observation deck looking out at the ocean. Below the waves, he could see the lights of underwater cities that housed representatives from dozens of worlds, all working together on humanity's next great project. "What are you building down there?" he asked Dr. Vasquez, who had joined him, at the railing. She smiled, looking down at the construction lights beneath the waves. "The next phase of galactic civilization. We're building vessels designed for intergalactic travel. It's time to see what's beyond our galaxy." Veltar's scales shimmered with excitement. Intergalactic exploration. But the energy requirements alone would be not a problem when you have post-singularity technology and the cooperative effort of hundreds of species, Dr. Vasquez replied. "The universe is vast, Commander, and we're just getting started." Admiral Chen's voice echoed across the Leviathan's communication system. "All hands, this is Admiral Chen. Phase 2, construction has been approved by the Galactic Assembly. Begin preparations for Project Exodus. We're going to the stars beyond." The stars. The story concluded with a scene that captured the spirit of humanity's achievement. On Earth's surface, children from a dozen different species played together in parks where the gravity could be adjusted for anyone. In orbit, construction crews built vessels that incorporated the best technologies from hundreds of civilizations. And deep beneath the oceans, the next generation of supercarriers took shape, designed not for war, but for the greatest adventure in galactic history. Humanity had done something no other species had achieved. They had reached post-singularity advancement while maintaining their essential humanity. They had demonstrated that true strength came not from the power to destroy, but from the wisdom to build. And they had shown the galaxy that the greatest discoveries were still ahead, waiting for those brave enough to reach for them together. The universe would never be the same.